Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopakunda Shyama Kunda Radhakunda Gita Govardhan ki Vrindavan ki Mayamudam ki Jagannath Puri ki Swami ki Ganges Mai ki Yamuna Mai ki Tulsi Maharani ki Bhakti Devi ki Hainam Sangatam ki Vridat Malanga ki Go Premanandi Samadhi Bhaktivinoda ki alle til de forsamlede indgivende, alle til de forsamlede indgivende, alle til de forsamlede indgivende, alle til Sri Krishna Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I want to read here from Srimad Bhagavad Gita's 4th chapter, text number 7, famous verse. Sure, some of you can strike along. Yada yada hi dharmasya. Yada yada hi dharmasya. Yada yada hi dharmasya. Yada yada hi dharmasya. Glanya bhavati bharata. Glanya bhavati bharata. Glanya bhavati bharata. Glanya bhavati bharata. Abhyutanam dharmasya. Abhyutanam dharmasya. Abhyutanam dharmasya. Abhyutanam dharmasya. Tadatmanam srijamyaham. Tadatmanam srijamyaham. Tadatmanam srijamyaham. Tadatmanam srijamyaham. Yada yada hi dharmasya. Yada yada hi dharmasya. Dharmasyam Tadatmanam Srijamyaham
Paritraya sarvam Glani Vasi Parada Yutanam Dharmasyam Atmanam Srijamyaham Yadaya Dharmasya Glani Bhavati Bharata Adhyutanam Dharmasya Tadatmanam Srijamyaham.
Yada yada hidamasya bhavati bharata
Glani Bhavati Bharata
Avyuktanam dharmasya Tadatmanam Srijamyaham
What is this?
Yadaya Dharmasya
Glani Bhavati Bharata
Adhyutanam Dharmasya
Tadatmanam Srijamyaham. Yada yada, whenever and wherever, certainly, Dharmasya, of religion, Glani, discrepancies, Bhavati, become manifested, Bharata, O descendant of Bharata, Abhyutanam, predominance, Adharmasya, of irreligion, Tada, at that time, Atmanam, self, Srijami, manifest, Aham, I. Translation: whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. Purport by Sri Prabhupada. The word Srijami is significant herein. Srijami cannot be used in the sense of creation, because according to the previous verse, there is no creation of the Lord's form or body, since all of the forms are eternally existent. Therefore, Srijami means that the Lord manifests himself as he is. Although the Lord appears on schedule, namely at the end of the Dvapara Yuga, of the 28th millennium of the 7th Manu in one day of Brahma, he has no obligation to adhere to such rules and regulations, because he is completely free to act in many ways at his will. He therefore appears by his own will whenever there is a predominance of irreligiosity and a disappearance of true religion. Principles of religion are laid down in the Vedas, and any discrepancy in the matter of properly executing the rules of the Vedas makes one irreligious. In the Bhagavatam it is stated that such principles are the laws of the Lord. Only the Lord can manufacture a system of religion. The Vedas are also accepted as originally spoken by the Lord himself to Brahma from within his heart. Therefore the principles of Dharma or religion are the direct orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. These principles are clearly indicated throughout the Bhagavad Gita. The purpose of the Vedas is to establish such principles under the order of the Supreme Lord, and the Lord directly orders at the end of the Gita that the highest principle of religion is to surrender unto him only and nothing more. The Vedic principles push one towards complete surrender unto him. And whenever such principles are disturbed by the demoniac, the Lord appears. From the Bhagavatam we understand that Lord Buddha is the incarnation of Krishna, who appeared when materialism was rampant and materialists were using the pretext of the authority of the Vedas. Although there are certain restricted rules and regulations regarding animal sacrifice for particular purposes in the Vedas, people of demoniac tendencies still took to animal sacrifice without reference to the Vedic principles. Lord Buddha appeared in order to stop this nonsense and to establish the Vedic principles on non-violence. Therefore, each and every avatar or incarnation of the Lord has a particular mission, and they are all described in the revealed scriptures. No one should be accepted as an avatar unless he is referred to by scriptures. It's not a fact that the Lord appears only on Indian soil. He can manifest himself anywhere and everywhere, and whenever he desires to appear. In each and every incarnation, he speaks as much about religion as can be understood by the particular people under their particular circumstances. But the mission is the same, to lead people to God consciousness and obedience to the principles of religion. Sometimes he descends personally, and sometimes he sends his bona fide representative in the form of his son or servant, or himself in some disguised form. The principles of the Bhagavad Gita were spoken to Arjuna, and for that matter, to other highly elevated persons, because he was highly advanced compared to ordinary persons in other parts of the world. 2 + 2 = 4 is a mathematical principle that is true in the beginner's arithmetic class and in the advanced class as well. Still, there are higher and lower mathematics. In all incarnations of the Lord, therefore, the same principles are taught, but they appear to be higher and lower in varied circumstances. The higher principles of religion begin with the acceptance of the 4 orders and the 4 statuses of social life, as will be explained later. The whole purpose of the mission of incarnations is to arouse Krishna consciousness everywhere. Such consciousness is manifest and non-manifest only under different circumstances. Yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati bharata abhyuttanam dharmasya tadatmanam shriyamyaham. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. So I chose this verse because Srila Prabhupada, when he was asked about Christ, such as, for instance, one time in Melbourne, he was asked by some priests, some Christian priests, what did he think of Christ? And Prabhupada said, he is a representative of God, and therefore he is our guru. And in other times, Prabhupada would say, and also Bhaktivinoda Saraswati would say, that actually Jesus Christ was a Shakta-based avatar of the Lord. Now there are different avatars or incarnations of the Lord descending into this world. That was actually discussed in the next purport after this verse here. There are Krishna himself directly descending into this world, or his expansions such as Ram, Singha, Vamana, and so on. And there are also these Purusha avatars, the Vishnus, who are creating and maintaining and destroying this world, and there are the Guna avatars, who are the Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, in charge of the modes of goodness, passion and ignorance in this world. There are the Manvantara avatars, the Manus, who appear in this world to give laws to mankind. These are actually, they are higher beings amongst the demigods, even above the demigods, and they are Prabhupada often uses examples just to illustrate how numerous the incarnations of the Lord, the different varied incarnations of the Lord are. Such as the Manvantara avatars. In each day of Brahma, there are 14 Manus and Manvantara avatars, which means there is one Manu, he lives for a lifetime of something like 314 million years. And then he is replaced with another Manu in the next Manvantara. And that gives 14 Manvantara avatars in one day of Brahma, which lasts 4,320 million years. And that means in 1 month of Brahma, there are is it 14 by 30? Is it 5,020 or is that 1 year? And then I think 5,020 for 1 year, and then in one lifetime, which is 100 of Brahma's years, there are 500,000, 520,000, or something like that, Manvantara avatars. And this is just one universe, and there are innumerable universes, so one can just imagine just how many Manvantara avatars there are. So the avatars, they are coming again and again and again and again, as it is said in this verse, to re-establish religious principles when there is a decline of irreligion, and irreligion is dominant, then Krishna somehow or other incarnates in this world to set things right again, to establish true principles of religion. And then they are established and they last for a period of time, but then as that's the nature of this world, again the pure principles of religion become corrupted, become adulterated with materialism. This is what happens. This world is for conditioned souls who want to enjoy separately from God, who want to enjoy sense gratification. And whereas pure religion simply means complete surrender unto Krishna with no desire for oneself. And this is what is established when Krishna he appears in this world, or his incarnations appear. But then over time, gradually, the conditioned souls, they change the pure message, and so it becomes actually the very opposite of what it was meant to be. It actually becomes religion. At one point when religion is degraded, then it becomes that the purpose of religion is that we should enjoy sense gratification. It's a desire of God. God has given us senses. So therefore, how can we refuse the gifts of God? You know, God is so merciful, He's giving us wonderful senses that can be enjoyed. So to deny sense gratification would be to go against God's generosity. So who would do that? So therefore, enjoy your senses and be happy, and God is happy when you're happy. So that's an example of, this is degraded religion. And I mean, it happens all the time. It's, so therefore, when, for example, Prabhupada, he mentions here Buddha. Buddha was also a Shakti-based avatar. Like Jesus Christ was a Shakti-based avatar, and Buddha was also a Shakti-based avatar of Krishna. It's a living entity, is a like a so-called ordinary soul like we are, but he has been empowered with the energy of God to preach in a certain context, and thus actually it's no difference. It's a pure representative of God who is executing God's mission with the power of God, and so thus a Shakti-based avatar is just as powerful as God in that particular within that particular context. And Buddha, he descended when animal slaughter was taking place in the name of religion. In the Vedas, there are certain restriction rules for animal sacrifice, just to restrict people who are very much attached to meat eating from getting completely carried away by unlimited animal killing. Then there are some restrictions. It's just like sometimes government in many countries will issue licenses for selling of liquor. Actually, the government does not want liquor to be drunk at all in the state, but there are people who are simply attached to it and they'll drink no matter what. So then the government will issue a certain license, and there's particular shops you can go and buy liquor, and you can only buy a certain quota every month. You have to have a license. And this way the government is issuing licenses for selling of liquor, but the purpose is not to distribute liquor, it is to restrict the drinking of liquor. So the animal sacrifices, which are mentioned in the Vedas, where under some circumstances can kill an animal and offer it in a sacrifice and eat the meat, is not to encourage meat eating, it is to restrict it. Because ultimately it is not. It's not necessary, it's undesirable, and no one really benefits from it. The animal eater does not benefit from eating the animal. He will become an animal in the next life and be killed like the same animal. And the animal that is killed is being stopped in its progress. Animals are also making advancement in their life in their own way, simply by living as animals in a certain time. And if the animal's life is untimely interrupted, it will have to actually take another birth of the same animal and complete its time in that body. So it's a disturbance for everyone, but of course, especially for the animal killer, he will have to be an animal in the next life and be eaten, be slaughtered in the same way. So, but again, there are those who by all means will want to eat animal. Actually, why I do not understand, because, what is so attractive about eating an animal? But it's, although I was raised as a meat eater, but that's, in the Krishna consciousness movement, there are certain things we have to give up, such as loose sexual connections, and intoxication, and gambling, and so on, and meat eating. And I can understand why some might have attachment to some of the other, but meat eating, why would one have attachment to that? It's just, it doesn't make sense. But their souls are very attached to that. I think this is like the essence of all enjoyment, to eat a dead animal. So for those kind of people, there are certain rituals in the Vedas prescribed to restrict this animal killing. And but at the time of Buddha, these restricted sacrifices have been taken out of context, and temples have been turned into massive slaughterhouses, and people in those times and priests were telling them, actually, this is religion, and great sacrifices, and actually temples have been turned into slaughterhouses. So Krishna, he empowered Lord Buddha to preach the message of non-violence and of giving up all kinds of meat eating completely, not even allow some restricted animal killing, simply give it completely up. That was the purpose of Lord Buddha, actually. And Christ was a similar kind of figure. He was also, according to Prabhupada and Bhaktivinoda Saraswati, he was a living being, a human like us, but very, very empowered to preach God consciousness in a non-Vedic culture, in the old Middle East, just like Prabhupada here. He wrote right here. It says, it's not a fact that the Lord appears only on Indian soil. He can manifest himself anywhere and everywhere, and whenever he desires to appear. So that's Krishna send avatars, Shaktives avatars, to places outside of India? Yes, Prabhu says that he can. He can see, actually there are, because Krishna has an interest wherever there are human beings. Human form of life is especially meant for developing God consciousness. It's a chance we have, unique, in the cycle of birth and death, where we, like animals do not have this higher consciousness that human beings have. We have a higher consciousness, and that consciousness, higher consciousness, is meant for us to cultivate and develop God consciousness, Krishna consciousness, and go back home, back to Godhead. This is what we can do in this human form of life with our higher consciousness. Not simply working hard and eating and having a more comfortable material life than the animals have. Because actually that is simply polished animalism. It's development of God consciousness, it is religion, which is a unique characteristic of human beings, which is the correct realization of our higher consciousness as human beings. And Krishna, therefore, he has an interest wherever there are human beings, even where there are non-Vedic people who are, quite fallen and quite uncivilized from the Vedic standard. But even there, it's God consciousness can also be preached. And according to our Acharya's understanding, Christ was one such individual who was especially empowered to preach in the old Jewish world. At least that's where he's most known that he was preaching. And he was, as Prabhu said, we can respect him as a guru, as our guru. His teaching is actually non-different from the teaching of Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. And he was definitely a very pure soul and a very, a very empowered individual. Because just see the result of his preaching. He spread God consciousness on a grand scale, and he's still remembered like 2 millennia after, still remembered, and still has millions and hundreds of millions of adherents all over the world. Although, of course, his teachings have to a large degree been twisted, and are not. The pure teachings have been lost to most. But still, the effect the massive effect he has had was, is witnessing of a very, very pure and powerful individual. No one can actually spread God consciousness unless they actually. It cannot be. It is someone who is not on the level of being very empowered, and someone who is not on the level of being actually a pure soul can spread God consciousness. You often find, of course, there will be criticism, and also Christ is being criticized, and others who are preachers and like that, they will be criticized, and they'll say they're just hypocrites, and they're just cheaters, and they're just whatever. But without even examining whatever the accusation is closer, we can understand that simply cannot be true, because they would not be able to spread God consciousness if they were not pure. It simply does not happen, because